Donald Trump has been hyping up the IG report into the origins of the FBI investigation of his campaign for what feels like years now. And spoiler alert, it blew apart all the conspiracy theories that he and others in right-wing media have been spreading. So with that, how did Donald Trump respond to the release of the report? Here's a bit of what he said.
Disgrace what's happened with respect to the things that were done to our country. It should never again happen to another president. It is incredible, far worse than I would have ever thought possible. And it's an embarrassment to our country. It's dishonest. It's everything that a lot of people thought it would be, except far worse.
And joining us now to break down Donald Trump's response and the IG report, progressive activist Jordan Ewell. Welcome back to the show.
John, thank you for having me.
Glad to have you here. So you heard that clip. There were a lot of specifics referenced by the president, very specific language. He clearly had read it and remembered details of it. No, he was speaking so vaguely. It's as bad as I said it would be. No, it was actually worse than I said it would be. So I feel like this is always my first question to you. Are you surprised, Jordan?
This is always my response. No, not surprised, because no matter what it was going to say, if it was even the slightest bit negative, Trump, his lackeys, his circle would just deny the findings, attack the findings, and possibly, as we're seeing now with Christopher Wray, attack the people who are supporting it. The evidence that we've seen throughout this entire process has been, Trump's campaign very likely had back channel communications with Russian officials. There was clearly something happening, but what this report confirmed was there was no malice in the origin of this investigation into those allegations. The only thing that they could really latch onto, which I don't think they're doing quite coherently, is the FISA court findings regarding Carter Page. There might not have been, clear protocol, concrete evidence to launch that inquiry into Carter Page, but that reflects issues raised by liberals after and leftists after Snowden's document release in 2013 about how FISA is just a rubber stamp for what we now term the deep state. This is just there's no real oversight into the FISA court.
Yeah, and I think it's important for us to point out that for all that Trump and his backers have been talking about issues with the FISA court for the past 2 years, what have they proposed as reforms for it? Literally nothing. They like it as an applause line, but they don't actually talk about any substantive changes to it going forward, because aside from their issues with they don't want Donald Trump being investigated, they generally like the way that process has worked.
Absolutely. It gives the FBI, gives the CIA carte blanche into any sort of inquiry that could be otherwise lawless. There's no real oversight. There's no public scrutiny. It's just judges. It's the vast majority. I think it's in the 90% range of inquiries or requests to the FISA court get just approved for investigations, for documents, for spying, surveillance, all this kind of stuff. Even down to what Snowden revealed was just every Verizon customer's data.
Yeah.
There's no real oversight.
So look, I'm gonna get to some of the actual key findings from the report in just a second, but I wanna go to a bit more of Donald Trump's response from yesterday. Because honestly, I think there's a good chance you might have been following this a bit more than I did. He makes a reference in this video, Jordan, you'll see that I don't actually understand what he's trying to say. So perhaps you can help me figure it out, but here's the video.
What they were doing and what they would have done if I didn't make a certain move that was a very important move, because it would have been even worse if that's possible. And they might have been able to succeed. This was an overthrow of government. This was an attempted overthrow, and a lot of people were in on it, and they got caught. They got caught red-handed.
What is the particular move that I made that stopped it from being even worse, if you can imagine it?
The only thing I don't know, but the only thing I could think of would be firing Comey. That's the one thing that I could really see him latching onto, because no one even on the right has really pushed back on that. To some extent, there really wasn't much pushback on the left, and he got his guy in, Wray. But now the thing is, Wray is defending the findings of the IG report, so Trump is attacking him. So it's not a clear coherent point he's making, but I think that's what he's referring to.
Yeah, and look, we're gonna get to Ray in a second, but he constantly has to attack as effectively agents of the deep state, people that he appointed to their positions. And it's gotta be mental exercise for his followers to continually go back and forth between these are the best people because Donald Trump chose them, / they're trying to take down Donald Trump, so they must be the deep state. But then why would he have actually chosen them? And I guess the only way to square the circle is something QAnon. I honestly don't know.
Exactly.
But let's go to some of the actual findings because he's giving his response. It's clear that he hasn't actually read any of the report, but some of the key findings include that the FBI had an authorized purpose to launch the Russia investigation. The Bureau's use of confidential informants complied with the rules. There's, quote, no documentary or testimonial evidence that political bias or improper motivation influenced the decisions to open the 4 individual investigations into Papadopoulos, Page, Flynn, and Paul Manafort. Now, you alluded to this, I believe, but the biggest area where hypothetically the right could attack the FBI coming out of the report is revealed in this. There were significant inaccuracies and omissions in applications for warrants to surveil Page, and FBI agents failed to meet the basic obligation to make sure the applications were scrupulously accurate. But I have not heard much talk about Carter Page over the past 24 hours. A lot more just assertions that this confirms everything they've been saying. And as you alluded to, Christopher Wray says he has a list of, I think, 40 different reforms he's gonna be making inside of the FBI as a response to this IG report. But that apparently wasn't enough for Donald Trump, who tweeted, I don't know what report current director of the FBI, Christopher Wray, was reading, but it sure wasn't the one given to me. With that kind of attitude, he will never be able to fix the FBI, which is badly broken, despite having some of the greatest men and women working there. So does he fire Christopher Wray for reforming the FBI after the IG report?
Oh, that'd be something. You never know with this guy. He's just like, complete mood swings, unpredictable, just goes with whatever Fox tells him to do. It could happen, but it shows like no matter what they found, he was going to summarily dismiss the entire report if it was even the slightest bit negative. On the Carter Page stuff, for Trump to talk about it is a really like finely tuned, you have to really finesse the details. And for someone like him, he's completely unable to do that. Mm-hmm. That's why he speaks in these vague generalities. Everything's bad. The deep state is collectively attacking me. All these sorts of things that plays well to a wider audience. Very few people in his base really know the details around the Carter Page stuff, so they really can't get into it. That's like the only thing they had, but because they rely on these sweeping attacks, and Fox included, they were left with like pretty much nothing.
Thank you for watching this clip from the Damage Report. For more content from the show and access to TYT Network members-only exclusives, go to tyt.com/Brooke. Wait, no, it's tyt.com/John. Go to tyt.com/John to sign up.